Our democracy has come a long way from the day Ghana gained independence, and there have been some issues raised that more and more people seem to abuse democracy, thinking that the freedom is an opportunity to go over the lines and do whatever they please. One of such persons is one lawyer, Mr. Bentil, who's the senior vice president of think tank Amani Africa. Now, Mr. Kofi Bentil, among others, has expressed his view about how democracy is being abused, and if we are not careful, it could, threaten the peace of the nation. Not only that, it could pose a problem to unity, to stability, and to even progress on a whole. Now, according to Mr. Benson, the democracy was not working the way it's supposed to work in the nation. He claimed that it shouldn't be too robust, so much so that it will be threatened. It shouldn't be so weak that it has to be safeguarded all the time. It should be good and free to everyone, but it should not be a point of contact of doing evil and going over the edge, because he claimed that it could be a big problem towards the nation, especially when things and structures have to be built and acceleration is needed the most. We're at a point where our growth is very fragile, and from what he said, I could get it, because development is not just a one day thing, it's a process, and it happens over the years. What happens is, when these types of abuse of democracy is escalated and it continues to become rampant, development is brought down. Things that are supposed to go on will have to be halted, because the peace that is even needed for those things to be built is not even present. So it's going to be a hard thing if we don't watch it. Let's look at the fact that sometimes people can even say insulting things towards the president and towards the government in power, and not to be afraid because they think they are in opposition, or because they are against that person's motives. Now, I'm not even talking about this current government or whichever government. It's just a general thing that has been noticed, and I myself side with him on this one. It's very wrong. We can be on air and we hear things like people insulting the president, the states, the head of the states. Like, is it that freedom in democracy has come to that point, and we are not even afraid and not even worried that what we are doing is actually against our own selves? It's even in the holy scriptures that we should pay respect to such people in authority, and we have to be careful about it. This is just one of the examples. There are some who take the word democracy to mean freedom to fool around. I don't know, maybe those people have to be sat down and then have the word democracy broken down in front of them for them to know, maybe whether its origin is from Latin, France, whatever, and what the word actually means, and just get a good edification from the word, so that we don't go about threatening our own selves with the way things go. There are sometimes where it gets too much. You'll be listening to some radio or a piece of hot debate out there, and then the next thing you know, people are insulting each other and like nasty words are being said. And this is not even from like people you expect it from. When the youth and those people who normally fool around are not fooling, yet you are seeing those who are supposed to be respected and highly esteemed are the ones going about with this type of stuff. We have to be very careful, very, very, very careful. Oh, very careful. We don't want to put ourselves in a situation where there'll be trouble. I mean, look around you. There are some nations that are not enjoying the peace we are enjoying today because of such things that happened in the past. There are some that are even in places that it will take them a long time for them to even reach where we are right now. And we are not even saying that where we are is a good place to be at. We are just saying we have come a long way. So when you compare the journey, the movement from back in time to now, you'd see there's a lot of efforts that have been put in to get here. But when we jeopardize on that one, what happens is definitely we'll put ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation. Now, one other thing he was worried about was the issues which were always rampant about the economy. He also explained that after this whole pandemic thing, there's been some people who have just been chancing upon like innocent people to do whatever they want to do in the name of democracy. And so there was a lot he spoke about. Even he commented on some of the calls for the resignation, of the Minister of Health. That's Kofi I mean, because of his involvement in that so-called Russian Sputnik 5 vaccine procurement. All these things that are happening. There's just people want to force things on people. People want to, and look, the law has to take its place, and the right institutions that are meant for doing that should do that. But we should not use the democracy we have to be enforcing things in such a way that we seem to be very violent. Yeah, we don't want to be a generation where we would spoil all the work that was made in the past. Looking at our ancestors and all the struggles they went through, if care is not taken, he said, our enviable democracy can just suffer for it. So we must not be complacent and take issues for granted. Now, when you think about it, most times those who incense these types of abuse of democracies are not the ones who suffer immediately. It's those ones who have been given a little money or have been, persuaded to go about doing this uncalled stuff, who are the ones who suffer. And more those ones who are really behind it will just sit back in their air-conditioned cars and be pressing buttons and watching you go ahead and make a mess of yourself. We should be careful that we don't throw away the democracy that we've been blessed with as a nation. The rule of law must stand, but we should also make sure that common sense and understanding will also stand, in our lives. He also added that we should be reminded of a generation which did not see people, going through all the good things we are going through. And he mentioned a lot of examples. He mentioned examples of how back in the past there were people who were stripped naked and whipped in the streets. He also gave an example of those types of unhappy events that took place in the past, where he expressed that people were picked from their homes and did not return again. He also mentioned examples of people who were tied to some forms of either wood or stakes or trees and stuff, and then they were shot. Yeah, they were shot dead, and the country came very close to a civil war in that time, and thanks to the Lord, it was averted. Now, he wants us to be very careful, because there's a need for the government and the citizenry to cooperate, to work together, because democracy is a fragile issue, and going on those types of violent tangents and insulting words, you just put yourself in a place where we would have thrown all the hard work, and energy that our ancestors have set for us. Now, you would know that even in the whole continent of Africa, there seems to be a difference in the way we go about our political issues when compared to other continents. Now, our aim is not to compare us to others, but we have to break anything that is a veil, is covering the truth that we need to see. Anything that is, just a shadow of something good, yet it's very bad in its form. We have to just watch out for them. We never know when we could use any good opportunity to change things you know, and to favor us. Just find a way to keep democracy moving in its true meaning and sense. You could always apologize for things that you've said that were not good. That's one way. Another thing you could do is to just keep a guard on your mouth to keep yourself from saying certain things against the government and just against the whole economy and the whole, uncomfortable feeling that you may be feeling under the sun. Now, when democracy is abused, definitely people suffer for it. And if you think about it, those who suffer sometimes go through a lot of pain. There's so much so that they don't know how to bottle it in, they don't know how to, you know, express themselves to people, seeing that this thing called democracy has put them in a very ugly situation. And there are some effects that happen to people that are never clean. There are things that will never yeah will never change like that straight immediately, but there are some efforts that can be done to bring a new fresh of air, into the situation. So we are advised to watch our ways of communicating, our ways of pointing things out there, our ways of getting our own wills done instead of that of the nation. We have to look at all of those things too. Are we paying more attention to ourselves, or should we pay more attention to the nation? Are we paying more attention to the way things are run in this land, or should we pay more attention to how we can be of help to the land? This and many more are what we would like to advise not only this chairman of Imani, but also others on the general. It has to be brought to their knowledge that there are things that could be done differently. There's always room for improvement, but to get to improvement, you also have to learn how to apologize for certain things that have been done in the past. We say this because some people hold on to some grudges, and in the abuse of democracy, they allow those grudges, those pain, to take hold on them, so that whatever thing they face on the road, they do their best to destroy it, because they just don't get how come we could reach this place as a nation and allow democracy to be abused and to be lost. So that is it. We do hope those in and around people who have gotten a place of power in this nation and just some form of touch would continue to seek out that which is good and pleasing and perfect, and by the grace of the Lord God Almighty, they would be shown the way to go about things and to do things differently and to keep the democracy in the right light instead of abusing it. So that is what we need to watch. There were people in the past who had to lose their lives because they were marching to a certain house, which where the president was, to a certain location. There's a lot, and we cannot let those people's toil after their blood, sinks to the ground. We cannot allow those same people's oil, to do what they can do. So let's just watch it. And let's watch the errors, and let's watch how to go about the errors. You could mistakenly, make an error with calculation, but the most important thing is that you do your calculation there to keep, the enemy from doing whatever they would like to do, using this democracy as an excuse. Do well, listeners, not to abuse democracy. It doesn't matter how unfair you may feel the situation may be. As long as you think of the general well-being of this nation, you will do nothing to cause, a trouble on this footbridge. Yeah, so those of you who are listening, please do your best. And for those of you who have ideas on how we could, as a people, keep democracy in its right content, then you can leave it in the comments below. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.